We're back with another episode of Horse Sense after a little hiatus last week for the California Crown. I'm Bailey Armour and he is Scott Shapiro, and we're back to talk all things Kentucky racing since it is finally opening day at Keeneland as we record this on Friday. I'm super excited. It's my favorite meet opening, maybe track opening, maybe track in the country. I had to break out my Keeneland merch today just for the special occasion. So there's plenty of great races this weekend to cover, Scott. I know you and I have taken a look at the cards on Saturday and Sunday. We've got a couple to go through here. Why don't we start it off with race number 9 on Saturday, the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity. What do you like?
Yeah, sounds good. And hopefully, I know you had a good time at the California Crown. That's kind of past news while you were out in the sun bathing, and I was grinding away here in the office. We're both back to the office life here. Hopefully, you'll get to Keeneland maybe this weekend, if not later. But the Breeders' Futurity, there's a number of grade ones on this card. This is the one that I always can, look forward to most. I kind of think of this race maybe as the first real thought of maybe we can look at these horses as Kentucky Derby type runners. They're starting to give 2 turns, starting to see the best of the best, in barns as they start to think about the Kentucky Derby. I don't know. How did you see this one shaking out? I thought the 2 favorites made a lot of sense, and I had a horse that I like at a bit of a price, but curious your thoughts.
It's so funny. I sound like a broken record when we always land on the same, well, not necessarily the same horse, but like kind of the same line of thinking. I don't know if we're like osmosising back to each other or what, but I'll take it. I also think the 2 favorites are deserving here, but also like a horse at a bit of a price. I'm with the number 4 Handsome Pants for Kenny McPeek and Brian Hernandez. He's like 10-1 on the morning line, so not a crazy high price, and I'm sure he'll get that down with Kenny and Brian aboard. Obviously on fire lately, Torpedo Anna, Mystic Dan, who's back in training at Keeneland now. Now, this is a horse that debuted September 14th in a mile 16th maiden special for, I think, like 122. Fought really well to win.
120. Yeah,
120, 122, ballpark.
Pocket
change, right? So debuts going a mile and 16th, one of the only horses in this field to run a mile and 16th and run 2 turns already, and won pretty impressively, won by a length and a half over 2-year-olds. It's not like he super romped or anything, but really had that distance and that field handled that day. The family includes multiple black type winners. The dam is a black type winner herself. So this is one that I've really got my eye on, especially at that higher morning line price. Those short price favorites, especially at Keeneland, for me, it's always hard to bet opening weekend, especially when we record this on Friday morning ahead of the Friday afternoon races that have been run. I don't know exactly how the track is going to play. I want to watch that this afternoon to make my final choices tomorrow, but this is the one that I'm going to keep on.
All right. Well, you must have read my stuff. So you're on the Handsome Pants. Yeah, no, I'll just piggyback and add to the fact you don't see Kenny McPeek win a lot first out with 2-turn horses. Doesn't even try it. A lot of times he'll progress, which leads me to believe right away that this is horse that's going to progress with distance. And did get a perfect trip under Brian last time out, but I think you can expect a similar trip. There's a lot of speed, and I'll just mention the 2 favorites in here who I also have as, main ticket type horses. Ferocious, who I have is maybe a little bit of a backup, going to be the favorite. Comes off a runner-up effort in the Hopeful, but he was under a ride the whole race in that effort of this $1.3 million horse and kind of re-rallied when Chancer McPatrick rallied by him. So a little bit concerned about that. Wasn't great visually, but he's done very little wrong on paper. And then East Avenue, the well-bred son of Medaglia Dior, the Godolphin homebred, who was hammered on debut at Ellis and ran to it, winning for absolute fun. He'll have things tougher in here. Those are the 2 morning line favorites. I think they're tough to get by, but I'm with you with Handsome Pants. We'll probably get maybe 5-1 to 6-1. But, earlier in the card, I'm not necessarily Mr. Turf Sprint. I'll take them as they come, but I know you're Ms. or Mrs. Turf Sprint if you're married to a turf sprinter, maybe, but that didn't make any sense, but I tried. The race 6 is a race that I know you're excited about, the Woodford Stakes, $350K. Grade 2 might as well be a grade 1. You don't see any. There's only, I think, the Jaipur might be the only grade 1 turf sprint until the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, the Jaipur is the only grade 1 turf sprint until the Breeders' Cup. As you know, I'm a big turf sprint gal. I love them. It's probably my favorite race type. And so when I saw this field and this race come up, and I agree, I think this one, I would call this one like a grade 1.5. Like, it's better than a standard grade 2. I think there's a pretty talented field here. Maybe not quite Jaipur, maybe not quite grade 1 territory, but if they keep this up, they, possibly could get upgraded. So I've got 2 in this field. The number 10, Arzak, who has run second behind the arguably the best turf sprinter in the world right now, Cogburn, one of the fastest horses in the world. He and the 2 of them actually ran 1-2 in the Jaipur at the Spa early this summer, like you just mentioned. He's 6-1 morning line. He was bet down to the post time favorite in his last 2 starts, where he finished 4th and 3rd, respectively. He won the 2023 edition of this race at like 11-1, totally blew everyone out of the water. And I was there for that day and was super impressed with his run in the Woodford last year. And then he also won the Shakertown, which is another 5.5 furlong turf sprint at Keeneland back in April. So he's my top choice in this race. I think you'll probably see a lower price than 6-1, probably close to 4-1, 9-2, something in that range. But if it's 9-2 or better, I would take it for sure. Now, there's another really big horse in this field, the number 6, No Balls, morning line 9-2 here. Really quick horse, but he seems like he can only win if he gets that sharp break, which he's had trouble with the past 2 starts. Broken a little bit on the slower side. I think that cost him the victory in those last 2 races. Looking for his first win in almost a year after he won the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint at Santa Anita last November. But Larry Ravelli wins 31% of the time in turf sprints, 35% in sprints overall, and like 30% in graded stakes races.
Let me add one. 36% third off the layoff.
36% third off the layoff. I mean, these are percentages that you just can't ignore. No Balls is going to be the top horse on my ticket with Arzak right behind him.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion here. When I looked around it, I got to do a little bit more work. I thought that this race was about as wide open as it gets. But I definitely understand wanting to use No Balls, who absolutely shocked them in the turf sprint back at Kentucky, my last Kentucky Derby on site in 2023, winning at 38-1, and Arzak, who's 2 for 2 at Keeneland. But the one race I want to talk about before we get into a little bit of a conversation on the Spinster is the grade 1 Coolmore Turf Mile, which is a real grade 1, 1.25 million. And I think that it's pretty obvious that Carl Spackler is going to go off favored, probably, in my opinion, lower than the 2-1 morning line price. Comes off what I thought was his best effort ever. I remember hearing about this horse, down in Florida in 2023 before his debut at Gulfstream. And he's sort of lived up to billing it. He did in his first couple of starts, and then kind of was good, but not great against okay fields. He seems to be getting better and better, but he had a perfect trip last time. He's the likeliest to win in here, but I've always been a big fan of number 3, More Than Looks. And this horse makes his second start off the layoff for Cherie DeVoe, who always has a plan, especially with her best horses, but always in general. She's always building towards something, and why she's having so much success. And I think she had a great race in the 4-star Dave against Carl Spackler. Carl had a couple starts under his belt, while More Than Looks did not. His last start was in the Breeders' Cup Mile. If he gets it on his pace, I think he's going to be higher than his 3-1 price because of Carl Spackler. And I'm hopeful that he'll get that on his pace and be able to run him down. But definitely it looks like a top-heavy race here in the Coolmore Turf Mile, just like the First Lady, which is basically the Chad Brown Stakes at this point in life.
Yeah, 4 of 11 Chad Brown horses in that field. It's going to be the Chad Brown, the other Chad Brown, the other Chad Brown, or the other Chad Brown.
I got a trivia question for you, though. Do you know who won the Coolmore Turf Mile the last 2 years as a trainer? It's not one Chad Brown.
It's not one Chad Brown. Coolmore Turf Mile.
5 seconds. Oh, Hall of Famer Todd Pletcher.
Classic. Toddy P.
He did it with last year. It was Up to the Mark, and the year before it was Annapolis. Does that sound right?
That sounds right. That sounds familiar. What side?
All right, you want to talk about the Spinster real quick?
Let's talk about the Spinster real quick. Moving our tack to Sunday. The Spinster, not something I aim to be, but I do aim to hit this race with the number 1 Idiomatic. I am so passionate about this horse, maybe more so than Torpedo Anna. I think she should have been Horse of the Year in 2023. Don't shoot me. I have said this. I will keep saying this. I will not let anyone talk about this ledge. I don't care. Never been off the board in 16 lifetime starts. Grade 1 wins at Saratoga, Churchill, Santa Anita. This race last year at Keeneland, Delaware Park Turfway, you name it. One of the best mares I have ever seen run. Just barely got caught last out by Raging Sea in the personal ensign up at the Spa this summer. I think she got maybe not ridden a little too hard, but pushed a little too much to duel with randomized in that race. it made her tire out a little too quickly alongside randomized, and then Rain GC comes up at the end. I don't want to see that happen again, but I hope they've learned from that trip last out and won't do that again today. She's facing some younger competition here with the number 3 Loved and the number 2 Candied. That's going to be my like exacta trifecta key situation. It's her over those two. The number 3 Love from the Brendan Walsh barn gets blinkers for the first time today and keeps Tyler Gaffalione, who we know is an excellent rider at Keeneland. So I would take Idiomatic over Loved and Candied. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, Idiomatic was a mare that I was dead against last time in the personal entrance. She hadn't really run her top races in her next couple. You always have to be careful betting these fillies and mares. You never know when they're going to stop, like maybe losing interest, want to be a mom or whatever does occur inside these beasts in a positive way. I mean, beasts. And but she was awesome. I mean, she lost that race, but she was huge, like you said. 46-3, 110-2 going a mile and 1/8 at Saratoga. This is not a great betting race to me. I'll have a blog on the late pick 4 up on Sunday morning, and I'll make a decision on how I'm going to approach this when I get to handicap the other races. Idiomatic is the clear horse to beat, but going to be that show it on the tote board. The only one that I can see beating her is not going to be a good price in Candied. So I'll have to sort through it a little bit. Loved, disappointed me, but she did have that good effort 2 back in the race at Horseshoe Indianapolis, but should be a really fun weekend, of course, at Keeneland, topped off with the last grade 1 Sunday at 5:16 Eastern.
Hey, we'll take it. Now, you mentioned your late pick 4 blog on Sunday. I know you've done some content for the late pick 4 races as well on Friday and Saturday. Now, in case you guys don't know, we've got a all meet long Keeneland promotion right here on Express Bet and First Bet, where you can win your share of 1 million First Rewards points every single day if you hit the late pick 4 at Keeneland any day starting Friday, October 4th, going all the way to the end of the meet on Saturday, October 26th. That's going to be the last 4 races every day. I believe on Saturday, that's races 8 through 11 and 7 through 10 on Sunday. So make sure you keep an eye out for all of Scott's picks. I'll have some Keeneland coverage this weekend. There we go, as well. I'm too excited to talk about it. I can't get my words out. So make sure you check out all of that information out on the Express Bet and First Bet blogs, and we'll see you out at Keeneland this month.